Hello everyone, welcome back in. We've got another casted feature match today from round 3 of the Keyforge Team League, and that's going to be between Nedmike and AEtherpt or Albert Kempel. So we'll get into that. We're going to be playing adaptive. So adaptive best of 3 is the format we're going to be looking at today. They know the deck choices, and we'll go over those. For those of you who don't know adaptive best of 3, how it works is that it's a best of 3 format, where in the first game, players play Archon, so they both play the decks. Each player plays the deck that they brought, and then they play a game of reversal, where the players swap decks. Now, if the same deck has won those 2 games, so if the score of the match is 1-1, they'll go to a third game, and in that third game, they'll bid chains on whatever deck they both want to play in that third game. Now, the official rules for adaptive back in FFG, force players to pick the deck that had won the previous 2 games. So they start, and the owner of the deck is the one who starts the chain bidding at 0. They go back and forth bidding chains until one player passes. And then when they pass, they give the deck to their opponent at the chains that the opponent had previously bid. And then they play the third game of regular Keyforge, just with a chain deck for one of the players. So that's how adaptive best of 3 works. There's a possibility of winning 2-0. So you win both the Archon and the reversal game. So you win with your deck and your opponent's. And that's a 2-0 win. And there's no chain bidding necessary in that case. So we'll see how this match goes, and hopefully it's a banger. Let's get into some deck evals. The group that these players are from is from Group C. We have the KFPT, which is a Portugal team. We've got AEtherpt on adaptive, Drew Ribs on Archon, J. Philpeg on Triad, and we've got the SeABRinger Kekoas, an ABR team, hence the capitalized ABR in SeABringer. We've got Nedmike over on adaptive, Disthis, and Siaka. And so those are the 6 players that will be facing off in round 3, with Nedmike and AEtherpt being the adaptive members that we're going to be watching here in this video. So we've got the Keyforge Portugal team on member. We've got the Keyforge Portugal team member AEtherpt or Alberto Campo on an MM deck here, an 82 SAS MM Marie Singularity Buccaneer, which is a Logos Starlines Untamed deck. That looks pretty spicy. This is a pretty spicy deck to bring to adaptive. Some players certainly go for this. They go for the sort of more powerful decks, usually pretty efficient. The ones, and it's not my style of adaptive, but it certainly is some players. So logos here, we see some pretty noticeable things. We have a pretty clear advantage engine in this logos. We've got a Cronus with 5 drop hips, bot booked in. We've got Demo bot and 2 Sacrobots. So those bots all together, bot booked in, Demo bot, and double Sacrobot, what they do is they just allow a lot of efficiency. Discarding a card from our hand and then also drawing a card is just really good. At the very worst, it's neutral, or you get to filter out cards you don't want to see. So it's kind of just like it's increased card selection, plus potentially making for larger advantage turns. Really good. We see some good creature control here in the Bouncing Death Cork. They've got some more card selection in Sloppy Labwork and Logica, some anti-steal for Discombobulator, and then the group Think Tank as well. So just this logos has a real potential to be an advantage engine that they can use to leverage and go into. The Star Alliance here also has a pretty fair number of creatures. Ambassador Liu is a very interesting card. It's a rare mutant politician. It says action, discard a card from your hand. If it is a Disc Shadows card, steal 1. If it is a Logos or Untamed card, gain 2. If it is a Sanctum or Siren card, capture 3. So obviously the options here are Untamed and Logos. So if they do discard a hand, which I mean you should for a gain 2 Amber effect, it's going to be gain 2 Amber, lots of value there, and you're pretty happy with that. So they've also got Commander Drixgar, which can be really interesting. They have some artifacts, as we can see sort of here. It's the Observumax, a Stunner in Star Alliance, so that's potentially 2 Amber on play, and then Discombobulator for on another turn, possibly. The creatures here we can see, we have an Armor Officer Nell, which does combine well with Armory Officer Drixgar. Oh, sorry, Commander Drixgar, as well as the Explore Rover Secure Droid that can also be turned into upgrades if they need to be. So potentially an extra 2 amber 2 draw or 4 amber 4 draw if all those cards come out together. We got a Subdue and a Survey as well. Survey is going to be more card selection, so lots of efficiency coming down. And then Subdue is just sort of a nice, handy piece of disruption and creature control. It usually doesn't kill a creature. Sometimes it can. But just the stun itself could be a nice piece of creature control, even if it's not permanent. The Untamed here is pretty spicy. We see Commune, which is a wonderful turn 1 play. We've got a Growth Surge, Rapid Evolution, Resurgence for a Ghost Hawk, as well as for probably a Dark Fairy and a Ghost Hawk is probably what you want to bring back. Blossom Drake is a really interesting one. It does have a Fangtooth Cavern, and depending on the game state, you might not want that Fangtooth Cavern activating. And potentially on the opponent's board, right, it can blank a Quixelstone, Autoencoders, lots of really powerful artifacts. So I think Blossom Drake is a really cool card, really cool rare, and could pull up here and do some real work here. As well, it has 2 Song of the Wild with very few creatures, so I don't think that's ever really going off. Potentially you have the option with a Ghost Hawk of getting Song of the Wild value on your Starlands or Logos board, and Song of the Wild does say, play for the remainder of the turns in action. Each one of the creature gains Reap, gain 1 amber. So there is certainly real potential in the Untamed to sort of gain some advantage that way, some small little things that can be done, but overall I think this deck is lacking amber control pretty significantly. We sort of see some destroyed steel effects. We've got a capture pip on Subdue. This deck would have really liked to see a Pismire, I think. That would have been great. The anti-steal effect on Disco Vibrator could be impactful. I haven't looked at the Arc Kiefer, which is Nedmike's deck, but we'll swap over there and see. But this deck does have some artifact control if that happens to be a problematic matchup. So overall, pretty spicy. I think this deck is definitely one that wants to outrush its opponent with not a lot of responses if it falls behind. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't think I'm having a hard time seeing the resource management in it. Obviously, knowing when to hold the Savage Clashes, the Bouncing Death Quarks, and all that kind of stuff is certainly, and it's also for the Immunogenic Serum, which I didn't mention, but can, with 9 mutants, get some real value. Or allow efficiency from the Logos turn on a Starlands or Untamed turn. So definitely interesting deck. I think it doesn't have a ton of adaptability. It doesn't look like it has a ton of adaptability. So I do worry, like if this deck sort of low rolls in game 2 or low rolls in game 1, and like possibly has a potential to maybe not be able to come back in a game where it falls behind. But we can move over and we can talk about Nedmike's deck. We've got Arc Kiefer, the Refuge Alchemist. It is a 78 SAS Worlds Collide deck. It is Logos Saurian Untamed. Now this deck also features low amber control, pretty similar stats overall, a little bit less efficiency, but I think the efficiency is different because we've got 3 Tautau Vapors and a Wild Wormhole, as well as a Daughter and a Sanitation Engineer. So I think this Logos has a ton of efficiency in it. This Logos is, if what you're looking for is consistency, I think this Logos can really bring it. Now with the archiving, I'm not sure I would think you are either looking to archive potentially some of the Saurian pieces, but I would more lean towards the Untamed. Like I really think this deck kind of wants to run a situation where maybe it wants to archive the Key Charge, Flaxia, and Nature's Call, and sort of guaranteeing some value there. When you have low amber control like this, and it's not terrible amber control by any means, but when you have low amber control, key cheats can really, really help mitigate some of that impact, because if you're cheating your third key, it doesn't really matter. It's just a game of how much tempo can I concede before I win on my own terms once I've gotten 2 keys. So, it is certainly a tempo game, and, with this deck, I think it seems like it has okay amber generation. It's definitely wants a board. As you see, this one has 13 pips. They have 11 But as we can kind of see with this one, I think it has a slightly less productive board in terms of generating advantage. The Saurian in here is really good. The Saurian's really good. We sort of see pretty equal distribution of creatures. 16 in total. We're going to see slightly less in Logos. With 5, we see, I think, 6 in Saurian. Yep, 6 in Saurian. And then we see about 6, or yeah, 5 again. So we see 5, 6, and 5 for creatures. Actually, it reminds me of somewhat of Margaret. So we're gonna see, which is one of my decks. For those who watch me, you know who Margaret is. For those of you who don't, well, you'll find out at some point if you watch my videos. So I think the board that the Logos board that Marie can generate, I think has more threatening in terms of possible advantage it can accrue. But this Saurian does so much on play. Everything in that Saurian has so much value. I'd say most of these creatures do outside of the Untamed. Brutal Auxiliaries are really good taunt. 6 power taunt with a hazardous 2, just very good value. The Tricilian Legionaries are 5/1 taunts with play water friendly creature. With a Calpigian Ideal and a Tribute, I'd feel like you can just really protect your Shrix, and you can also protect your Theros Centurion or your Candle Unit or what have you. And I think that's just like really those kind of play effects and board building that World's Collide Siren can do in this kind of sense, as top of an Ancient Power and an Axiom of Risk for double value if you have Burning Creatures plus a Golden Spiral. Like, I think this really does just have a lot of potential, the Saurian, to completely run away. The double Savage Clashes in Marie, I think, can really go a long way, so it might be really important to hold those. Maybe get one archived with the Sloppy Lab Work or with possibly just incidentally off a Cronus pip. If you're Kiefer, if you're Nedmike, I don't think you're that concerned about the Cronus. Like, it's a mutant, and it is also an advantage engine for drop pips, but there's only 5. Most of them are not in Logos. There's only 1 in Logos. So overall, I think you're not super concerned about it, and you can probably just let it ride unless it's convenient to kill it. Obviously, like, any advantage, like draw 1, archive 1 is like really good, but I don't think you're in any rush. And like, this deck isn't lacking in creature control, especially when you're facing it at boards, because the Thorium Plasmates are a lot more likely to get value. We didn't see a ton of capture over in Marie, so I think like that's also you're pretty happy with the Axiom of Risk potential, and I think like unnatural selection as well can be a really good board wipe, especially with something like this where you have a lot of warding. There's a lot of potential to make uneven unnatural selections, even without like blowing up with somebody only having 3 creatures and then playing more. So I think the potential for value here from both the board wipes is really high. The Neutron Shark gives this deck a lot of potential value, and the Fittest also just go a long way of making like the Eldest Bear live a bit longer. Panpaka Yaga is going to give you good value there for lots of things, giving things skirmish. Like, you're really happy for your Hapsis to have skirmish. You're happy for your Theros Centurion to have skirmish. Like, I think you're just like very happy overall. And there is some archive hate in the Tentatlin, which is can be very relevant in a format like Adaptive. So I'll have to see how these decks match up. I think it'll be really interesting. They're similar but different in lots of ways. So I think this is going to be a really cool matchup, and they're both pretty efficient. So I think if we get to game 3, the evaluation for chains is going to be really interesting, because if you see the Logos early in Kiefer and can chain Taus and Wild Wormhole and Daughters, you're not nearly as worried. But if you see Siren Untamed mostly, then it's going to be harder to slough off those chains. And it's going to be the same with Marie. If Marie has a hard time building the board and getting advantage from the board that way, as well as some of the other things, I think you can also have a hard time sloughing off those chains. So there really can be ways where even in the chain games where these can behave maybe not like an 18-speed deck, you would expect them to be able to chew through those chains possibly. So going to be a really interesting match, I think. And yeah, let's get into the game. Let's get into it. And a reminder, Nedmike's deck is the Worlds Collide with the triple Tautau Vapors, and AEtherpt is the MM deck with the nice Logos suite as well. It'll be interesting to see these two players and these two decks face off. Teammate J. Philipeg gracing us with their presence as well. See, they're probably resolving mulligans. Alright, and we're off to the races. It'll be interesting to see. Nedmike is the first player. It'll be interesting to see what mulligans are resolved. We got a timer, so we're gonna have some quick games, I think. At least 45-minute games. Wonderful turn 1 play here from Nedmike with the Tautau Vapors, drawing 2 cards and getting one of them tucked away. I mean, Tautau Vapors is such a good value turn 1 play. Really, really nice. I mean, it's just Tautau Vapors is just such a good card. It's kind of hard to argue with the value on that one. Ooh, early Cronus. Okay. Early bot. Sacrobot. Well, that one looks like. Unnatural selection gets played early for the... Oh, an early key charge. Okay, so obviously going on a completely different direction with this, considering they didn't mulligan, having such a big untamed hand, choosing not to archive the key charge. Definitely a bit of information there for both us, for me as a caster, and also for Alberto to not, maybe possibly not nearly value the untamed as much in the reversal game. Okay, so we do get the armor obviously now, which will draw 1, archive 1 from the Cronus, and let's see if they can stack some draws here with some upgrades. Chief Tink, which is such a... I wish the that card was cooler. Subdue coming down onto the Gabuk, stunning it and dealing 1 damage to it. That Gabuk's too powerful otherwise. Don't want it running amok. Oh, Nedmike goes straight back into Untamed. So you see the Penpaka Yaga is gonna come down, and we're gonna see some skirmishing. That looks like that was good. A good call there from Nedmike. And bounce probably the Tink and the Sacrobot and the Flaxia. Yeah. Very good. Very good. No, I think that's sort of that's a nice value play there. Get the captured Amber back from the capture pip. Tink and Sacrobot don't do anything on play, and then you also sort of get rid of get some extra value off the Flaxia. Just solid bit of tempo there. All right, with an untamed call from Alberto, we'll see what the Savage Clash. Yeah, you know, when there's you only got 1 creature, there's sort of no drawback to it. Gets rid of the Flaxia and the Penpaka Yaga. The Penpaka Yaga absolutely can be a problem. everything having skirmish is just really a lot of value. Really allows for profitable fights. When you're fighting for control over the board, really it just can be really beneficial, especially like it really helps make up any deficiencies in C or creature control. And we're going to see saw a Growth Surge come down there, making that a big Dark Fairy. So Knots of 5 power with skirmished and fight gain 2. Ooh, and just in time too, because we see the 2 Broodon auxiliaries, which both have Hazardous 2, which otherwise would have killed that Dark Fairy without those power counters. And we see Mutagenic Serum there. That is going to be the 1-drop hip in Logos coming down, resolving on that Cronus. So they're getting value off it. You know, you can't say they're not getting value off this Cronus. I know I said they shouldn't worry about it too much, and I do stand by that, but yeah, it's all coming up drop hips here for Alberto. There comes down that bounced Sacrobot. Both Sacrobots now. And we did see the left logic come down as well. Didn't discard many. And see, with a board like this and the Sacrobots and being able to sort of discard 2, draw 2, it can really open up some sort of recurring Logos turns. And then we see a Sloppy Lawbreak, which should empty their hand almost entirely. You know, we will empty their hand entirely. Forgive me. And so it really just adds opportunities to have a lot of card selection on Logos, and yeah, I mean, even still with the 2 Sacrobots, you're still pretty happy. Still with the draw 2, discard 2. Ooh, okay. I mean, that Calpilging Ideal can certainly do some work. Obviously, Calpilging Ideal is an upgrade that allows the user to spend the amber on the creature it is attached to forge keys. So if you want to talk about very profitable ways of dealing of getting rewarded for the amber on your creatures, Calpilging Ideal is absolutely one of those. And now there's certainly a choice of do you or can you deal with this good book. Now, they did take their archives here, and they aren't untamed, so they could have a second Savage Clash. Okay, we see the Song of the Wild. I'm gonna guess the Ghost Hawk's gonna come down, and the Ghost Hawk's gonna come in between those 2 bots. We have a Demo bot and a Sacrobot. So Savage Clash here, no? Okay. So we're just gonna use the Mutagenic Serum here and get that. Mutagenic Serum with a pip and a drop pip really doesn't feel too bad in cycling that through your deck anyways. So especially, you know, with these Broodon auxiliaries on the board, who knows how long they're gonna live. Or with a Savage Clash as well. And if they can kill this Demobot, it'll kill Demobot and the good book. Maybe they can take him off check. It's certainly going to help with some digging so that we see the Tink come down first. Not come down, sorry, get discarded. And then we also see Ambassador Liu discarded there. So looking for filtering out those Star Alliance cards in favor of probably more untamed cards and I guess Logos cards if you're looking to look for them. Discards the Commune there. Okay, we see Resurgence for Dark Fairy, and then Dark Fairy, because they picked a mutant, they're gonna have to pick a second creature. Okay, so we see Dark Fairy and Cronus returned. There's a Savage Clash. I think I would have liked to see the Savage Clash. Blossom Drake here for the Golden Spiral is nice. I guess I would have liked to see the Savage Clash before the... Because it's not like a Mark of Dis or anything, so like I don't see why you would kill that Sacrobot. Oh, I see. It's the lowest creatures, so that does make sense. Because you do want to steal one there. I get it. I was reading the card the wrong way. And this is a big Logos turn. Yep, no, that's just a big Logos turn. Daughter, Hapsis, and Candle Unit. Happy to see that, but that does put Alberto at 2 keys. A slow Logos call here for Alberto on turn 6. 2 keys for them. Turn 6, 1 Amber. Okay, see a Q-Mech with a draw. Bookton, there's that Cronus. A Sacrobot. Discombobulator coming down on the Sacrobot. I mean, it's really just a pip though. There's not a ton of steel over in Nedmike's deck. Yeah, destroying that Q-Mech and the Candle Unit, that Bookton and the Hapsis. And yeah, destroys the Cronus and the Thirster Unit. I think that's a good call. You're not really expecting to get a ton of value anymore off the Cronus because there's not really any drop pips left in deck. Or there are, but like is a draw is 2 possible archives when the Cronus really probably isn't going to live long worth it. Probably not. It's probably better to get that Thirster String off the board. Especially when they have stuff in archives where you're almost certain it's something Saurian. So they're going to clear the whole board off, getting that daughter out of the way. Okay, so we've seen another Logos call, so even more of an idea. Okay, that was interesting. That is So I wonder what they're digging for. That is definitely handcrafting. There's probably a tribute in the archives. Okay, so here's a Drixgar. Okay, there's an Observe You Max. There's a Yorg. Okay, and there's a, yeah, so 2 Amber off of the upgrade onto the Crewman Yorg to give it Taunt and the Amber on from the Pip on Observe Max and Drix Carpets. Puts Alberto to 5. So no need of a response yet from Nedmike, so they do go untamed here. Okay, so more hand shaping. We see a Wild Spirit attached to the Sanitation Engineer and a discarding of the Eldest Bear. So right now we know that there's 9 cards possibly in archives or in hand for Nedmike. Alberto does know that combination now because obviously the discard is a 0 cards left in draw pile. So we know what Nedmike is potentially working with next turn or the next few turns. One of those is going to be the Tribute. And I think a Phalanx Strike as well. I think it's... Yeah, so we know they're stocking, so they're stocking that Saurian in there. And with the Bouncing Death Quirk used, I wouldn't be surprised to see like a well-protected Shrix come out, unless I've missed the Shrix hitting the discard at some other point. Okay, we see a Starline's Call here from Alberto. They're going to start off with the Survey, and that Survey is going to discard Think to the Cavern. And with that Pip on Survey, they do now threaten 3rd key with check at 6. Both players at the bottom of the deck, and we'll see how Okay, we see the Explo over being attacked with Drixcar. It's another Amber, as well as a Stunner. So Alberto's going to end the turn there at 10. Or 11, right, with a Reap from Crewman Yorg. Now that does put them out of range of being taken off just by Tribute. Tribute does capture 4. Yeah, that's going to be a GG from Nedmike. Okay, so Alberto takes a series. Not the series. Alberto takes the game 1 with a win there. We'll see if Nedmike can pilot Marie as nicely as Alberto did. I just love Adaptive as a format. I love the sort of relationship one can build with decks, the types of decks you can bring. Obviously, like Adaptive is a very wide open format in terms of what you can bring. Pretty much any deck will work. Obviously, we bring decks we have affinities for and we like, and it's so much fun seeing someone else pilot it. I love it. I learn a lot about my decks that I bring to Adaptive. I think seeing other people play your deck is one of the best ways to learn about a deck. I always love watching Adaptive matches. Okay, Nedmike here starting with a very, very similar start that they did in game 1 with a sloppy lab work. So we're going to archive a card and discard a Sacrobot. Not going to go into Logos again next turn. On Alberto's side, yeah, again we're again seeing some Untamed Star, right, with an Eldest Bear and a 10 Haddle hitting the field. So 2 card start there is pretty slow, but you know Alberto might be sitting on a 2/2/2 or a little bit more reactive of a hand, and sometimes that's how it do be. But for Nedmike's side, we see a Crewman Yorg come down, a Demo Alien, and an Explo over. Demo Alien has a really wonderful fight effect. I love all the Starline's alien fight effects where it's the look at the top 3 cards of your deck, pull one on the bottom, one in your hand, and you leave one on top. I love that. It's great card selection. And of course, Damolian does steal one when it dies. Okay, and for Alberto, we get a Logos call here. They're going to start off with the Tautau Vapors. They will play a Thorium Plasmate, which I might guess is going to kill the Expel Rover. Okay, yeah. And then we see a Hapsis come down. Okay, so not super explosive yet. Ooh, but we do get see a Snarlion's call here once again from Nedmike, running it back with the Snarlion's house. We see an Umbria obviously Nell, which does have a drop pip. No Kronos on the board this time for them to gain advantage of, but they are going to have a Stunner, which is going to draw them a card, give them a pip. And yeah, reaping with that, Fruman Yorg is going to stun that Eldest Bear. Yeah, I love that. Fighting with a Damolian to into the Tentatlin, guaranteeing it lives because the Tentatlin only deals 2 damage when it fights. So guaranteeing they get that effect off. And I think that effect is just so good. It really is so good. It is an amazing effect. And I think if you can resolve it, and you're not throwing by doing so, like it's usually almost always worth it as an effect to resolve. I'm a little surprised. I understand they didn't want to give him an Amber, but I was a little surprised they killed the Expel Rover and not the Damolian because of that. But it doesn't seem like they hit, so it was alright. Not punished. Hapsis is going to fight into that now, warding it, and drawing a card. Love Hapsis. I think it's really, really good design. Wild Wormhole is going to play Axiom of Grisk, which isn't terrible. I mean, you're not like super happy about that, I think, but it's going to wipe Nedmike's board at the very least, and you know, you can just ward that Eldest Bear, and that lives, although, and I think you're fine taking the ward off Hapsis because you have the Tricerian Legionaries to pretty easily get wards back on your Hapsis if you want to, like if you feel like it. But you do, because of that, I mean, you're forced to give them the 1 Amber there, which it seems like Alberto was really trying to avoid. So hitting the Axiom of Grisk is really unfortunate off that Wild Wormhole. Much better hits. Like, they could have hit most things and it would have been better. We're going to see Rapid Evolution come down, and it is going to massively beef up that. Oof. Okay, it's going to massively beef up the Eldest Bear, and then they're going to discard 2 Song of the Wilds and a Blossom Drake. Man, the Fangtooth Cavern that came down is going to kill off the Hapsis, but that Eldest Bear is looking thick. Alright, yeah, and we do see the Tricerian Legionary putting a ward on itself come down. We see a Thera Centurion to the other side of the Eldest Bear, centering the Eldest Bear, and Ancient Power, put another ward on there. But Nedmike's going to go into Logos, and we see, and that did take a Nedmike off check there, answering that. Elf Logica is going to put on, yeah, okay, and so Nedmike is now just going to be discarding all their cards. And with discarding those cards, we'll have to see how that pans out. Obviously, the board here is troublesome, and We're gonna have to deal with it some way, or they're gonna start getting a lot of value off of it. We do see an untamed call here from Alberto. We're gonna get that Pimpack Yaga down and exhausting the Eldos Bear to get that stun off of it. Very small turn there from Alberto. And that does allow Nedmike to draw first blood. Discombobulator comes down onto the Pimpack Yaga. They discard a Group Think Tank, and that is going to blow up that Yaga. We see a Saurian call here from Alberto. They're just going to reap twice. We'll see what they play from hand here. Okay, we got another taunt down for Brutalon Auxiliary. 2 Brutalon Auxiliaries, so a Saurian board is developing. Wonderful, yeah. And a Calipigeon Ideal there onto the Aetheros Centurion is really what you want to see. I mean, 2... Yeah, it is not the smallest power, but it does have a ward, so it's not safe from the Savage Clashes. And it is currently safe from the Fangtooth, but if they're able to combo the Savage Clash into a Fangtooth, they're probably pretty happy this turn. Because Alberto is on check here. With 7 possible Amber. Okay, we see the cards taken from the archives. They do call Untamed. My guess is probably what's going to happen. Ghost Surge goes under Brutalon Auxiliary. Savage Clash. Okay, we're just going to keep... Yeah. This card's Ghost Hawk. Yeah, you're happy about this. Means as this Eldos is massive. Ah, perfect, yeah, and they have a commune to end it off, and because of end of turn triggers, and commune will gain him 4 Amber, and then that Fangtooth Cavern is going to blow up that Aetheros Centurion, so taking Alberto off check, while also bringing Nedmike into check with 6 for second key. Then we see a snap call back into Untamed. Oh, not quite snap, but a pretty quick call in back into Untamed from Alberto. Probably going to get some value out of that Eldos Bear to reap. Quicksand, yeah, it doesn't destroy anything because there's no creatures on Nedmike's side, and they obviously have a ready creature. And they reap with the Eldos Bear there, the capture one. They play the Fittest, making the Eldos Bear even bigger. And they are going to key charge, forging the yellow key, losing 1 Amber, and forging it for 6. Pretty happy about that. And then on turn 8 here for Nedmike, we see them go into Star Alliance. They play a Subdue, Commander Drixgar. They attach Observe UMax to it to gain an Amber from the Pip and themselves. They discard Liu and Chief Tank, and that Fangtooth Cavern is going to indeed blow up the Drixgar. But I mean, you're pretty happy. I'm going to check out 8 there, and you also stun the Eldos Bear to minimize any value they're going to get there. Okay, so we see Candle Unit come down, we see Daughter. And a Neutron Shark is gonna blow up. My guess probably just Fangtooth in itself. Yep. So that's going to be that strategy for Nedmike. Nedmike's going to have to change gears here. But they do force that second key, and well before Nedmike is able to establish any board, just really threaten more Amber. So yeah, starting off with that Logos, we see a QMax, we see a Sacrobot, we see the Mutagenic Serum, and a BDQ. Yep, trades his Logos creatures for their Logos creatures. And then turn 9 here. Flax is going to gain some Amber. Do we have a Nature's Call, possibly, to get some value out of that? More value? Yep. So this will bring them to check. Now check with 7, and we'll see. If Nedmike here can get to check. Untamed Call here. That's another 5 power Dark Fairy. They discard the Resurgence. They don't have a, yeah, that's fair. They don't want to bring back that Logos creature. Oh no, they don't have any creatures. Yeah, it's just a Gross Surgeon there. Okay, so we see a Saurian Call here. And this must be a tribute, is my guess. Okay, if they've got a tribute here, then this could definitely threaten third key, which would definitely be a very interesting development. Alberto really wants to get to check for third key here, if possible. There's a tribute. Yep, there's a tribute. Capturing the tribute. Okay. Okay. Good. Doesn't get to check though. Oh, and there's a Savage Clash. Oh, yeah. And maintaining, of course, the creature discarding. And so Nedmike here shouldn't be very well aware of what's left in deck for their deck there. We see a Logos call. Tautau, you love to see it. Tautau's such a good card. Great start to any turn. Okay, another Tautau. Not bad. Okay, down comes a Quantum Finger Trap. Thorium Plasmate. A Candle Unit. Now, that Thorium Plasmate at 5 Amber right there, they are on check with the Sinotrix. As we see a Daughter Candle Unit, Sanitation Engineer all come down. So, you know. And that's it! No way. Well played. Well played, Albert. So we've got a 2-0 on our hands. Wow, that's very, very impressive. Very impressive. Well played to both players. And then we gotta have a smurfing good day. Love to see it. Alright, yeah, and that'll be... Alright, and that is going to be it for us today. That was games 1 and 2 only. It was a 2-0 for the Keyforge Portugal team. And really well played to both Nedmike and Alberto. I think it was a really, really close game there in the game 2. I definitely thought Nedmike was going to take it, if I'm being perfectly honest. But, you know, of the two of them, you know, Alberto was able to turn it around with Kiefer and get that game 2 win after winning game 1 with Marie. So well played to both. Good luck to them and the rest of them in the league. And I hope everyone here enjoyed the coverage. Has a good rest of your day. Peace, everyone.